Alright you guys, well today I have for you this 2012 Lexus IS250. Take you on a little walk around here. I've always liked these cars, especially in this generation. I think this was like the best years for the IS250. Going around the back here. Very clean, very sporty kind of styling to it. This was like a BMW 3 Series competitor. Or like an Infiniti G35 competitor. We'll show you guys under the hood real quick. Alright, so this is the 2.5 liter V6, kind of a small V6. It made 204 horsepower and 185 pound-feet of torque. So it was a little bit underpowered. The Infiniti G35 made 306 horsepower, while this only had 204. And the BMW 3 Series also made more power than this, even in its lowest trim levels. They did offer an IS250 that had 306 horsepower. The 350 was considerably more rare than this. This is like the volume engine, what everybody got. But we'll close up the hood here. We'll check out this trunk space. All right, pretty heavy trunk. It's actually fairly big for a little compact car like this. It's not like huge or anything, but you get a pretty good opening here. It does not appear the seats fold down, but you do get a little middle passageway in there. We'll try out these back seats. And back seats are actually pretty cramped. Yeah, very cramped back seats, really not a lot of leg room. This is like where I would sit. I can do it on a short trip, but it's not like something you'd want to take people on a road trip in maybe. But you do get this interesting armrest, has a little storage area in here, and also has these pop-out cup holders. But we'll hop out of here. We'll get in the front seat. All right, so we'll start out. It actually does have push to start. Pretty modern feature for this time period. This car came out in 2006, so having push to start is pretty nice. The interior is honestly pretty nice for the time. Like I said, 2006, and you got some nice materials in here. It feels pretty classy. It's not gonna feel like crazy new, but you know, you still get this big screen in the middle right here. It's a pretty dated screen, but it has like Bluetooth and it has a nav system, which is pretty surprising. It's also, you have to go in through here to adjust some of your climate. You just get temperature controls right here, but to control like the fan speed, you have to go through here. And also just like to see your temperature adjustment, there's no screen down here for that. You have to look through here only. It's probably one of the earliest cars to integrate climate control in the screen. You also get your audio information, you know, your typical AM, FM, Bluetooth, CD, aux. This is where you control all of that. You do get a lot of controls on the side for the screen. You get some climate controls right here. You also get your CD player, AM, FM, aux, Bluetooth. You don't really need to rely on this screen too much. You have to rely on it for a couple things, but most of the controls are just buttons. You got this Toyota shifter, and you do get a nice backup camera for the time. I mean, it's not high resolution, but it gets the job done. It has a nice field of view. You do get heated seats and also cooled seats in here, which actually work really well. Bluetooth phone controls, volume controls. Got a nice gauge setup for the time. Not going to be super modern like a, you know, one of those digital screens in the center, but it looks good despite that. You also get a rear sunshade if I press that button right there. That's actually a really nice feature. You also get this sunroof. You get driver's seat memory. Kind of odd how these controls are like slanted down right here. They're a little weird to press because of that, but still pretty decent. You got one cup holder in here, just one cup holder. That's kind of interesting. And you got this like sliding center console. It's pretty tiny. You got power outlets, like no USB in here, but you got a pretty decent glove box. You also got paddle shifters. All right, but we'll take this thing out on a drive. This car is a little bit worn. It doesn't feel like it's brand new or anything, but it still drives pretty good. But we'll set off here. All right. And so this car, as I mentioned, 2.5 liter V6, kind of a small engine, but to my surprise, it actually has some pep to it. It's really not too bad. It has like a nice V6 feel to it. Nice torque down low. And nice smooth engine power. Very linear, very smooth. Really nice and predictable. It's not like a turbo car where it's like kind of an unpredictable power sensation. This is like very smooth, easy to drive. It does like feel a little quicker than just 204 horsepower. You hear a number like that and think it's gonna feel really slow for a sports sedan, but actually moves this car pretty well. This 6-speed automatic, very intuitive, like buttery smooth. And it's got some sport injected to it. It's pretty responsive when you hit the gas. It's quick to gear down and get you moving. Shifts are like pretty quick. There are occasions where it hunts for gears a little bit, but for the most part, a nice tactile feel to this drive. I'll try some of the acceleration once I get out onto this road. All right. I love the sound of it. It sounds really good, actually, surprisingly. And it's not bad. It does get up and go. I had to like dip into the accelerator a pretty good amount to get that, but it's not bad. I'm pretty surprised. I'm pretty impressed. Even though it's still a small engine, it's got that really robust V6 feel to it. If you're coming from a big car, this interior feels a little cramped. Even in this lowest setting for the seat, I still feel like I'm almost hitting the ceiling in this. But it's not unlivable. It's actually it's more roomy than I was expecting. I was expecting this car to feel really cramped inside, but it's actually fairly spacious, fairly comfortable. I think it's a little bit of a bigger car than you would suspect. Nice smooth ride. It does get a little crashy over bumps, but I think that's just because of this car's age. It has 170,000 miles on it. But it is like, it's pretty smooth, it's pretty controlled on the road. The steering wheel has kind of a pull to the left. As I said, it's a little bit worn. But nice and intuitive, even just, you know, feathering the gas right now. It's, you know, very predictable. It gets up and goes. Keeps up with traffic. Brakes are also nice and smooth, very natural in the brakes. No weirdness with them. They're not too touchy, they're not vague. Pretty powerful and just, you know, silky smooth braking in this. I also have good visibility in here. Pretty clear view out of the front windshield. Big side mirrors over here, and clear view out of the back window. Really easy car to drive in that sense. Something I really like about Toyota and Lexus, especially from this era, is just how everything feels so easy. There's no drama with anything, you know, the pedals, the steering, just the general response of the car is exactly how it should be. We'll test out some corners up here. It's not a handling champion, I'll say. There are other cars like the 3 Series or maybe even the G35. I think those were definitely more sport tuned than this. It does it okay, but there is definitely a sensation of body lean. It's maybe slightly hefty feeling in the corners for this car's overall size. But yeah, it gets up and goes pretty nicely. The mid-range is lacking a little bit, like say if you're trying to merge onto the highway, you start to feel it lacks slightly there, but just cruising around town, I mean, it keeps up with other cars perfectly fine. Feels like a very healthy amount of power, I'd say. But yeah, it's just a relaxing car to drive. You don't feel stressed out driving this. Everything's just very easy, as I said. Turn down onto this back road. Check out our turning radius. All right. It's actually pretty good, pretty sharp. But we'll get back onto the main road here. Check out some of the cornering ability. And yeah, you know, it's okay, but the steering isn't the most precise around the turn. It's like decently weighty, decently sharp, but when you go around corners, it doesn't feel the most linear, I'll say. That's not to say it's bad at all, though. It handles pretty good. It's a pretty small car. It's not gonna feel like a boat at all. Definitely not. Still a very sporty experience. Try out the paddle shifters a bit. Alright, paddle shifters are decent. It's not like a modern car where they respond quickly, but oh, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. And yeah, you know, this car, it does have a small footprint on the road, but it is more comfort focused. You kind of expect that for a Lexus. It's what you'd expect from this kind of car. You know, a sporty edge to it, like sportier transmission and engine, but still pretty soft in the handling. I mean, I do appreciate just how easy it is to drive. There's just like, you know, it's hard to find cars like this today that just don't really give you any drama. I mean, this, it's serene how nice it is and how easy it is. I just wish this particular car was in slightly better condition, because I could probably get a better feel for it. But you know, I can tell, like, it's a very relaxing car to drive. And by relaxing, I don't mean like it's slow or anything. It's still like nice and peppy. We'll see how this car does on the highway. We'll give this guy a little bit of room here. It's like 70%. Yeah, it gets there. I mean, like I said, you know, the mid-range power is a little bit on the soft side, but it gets up there. See if we can get into the passing lane here. All right, you know, it's a pretty good highway car, pretty smooth. Fairly zippy. Take this exit here. The transmission is a little bit hesitant to kick down on the highway, but not bad. It's not like that that Jeep Cherokee I drove that was just like totally unresponsive. This still has like a nice intuitive feel to it. We will take it back on the highway. It's slightly loud. There's some wind noise, but it's normal. That's normal for a car like this. try some passing power. And yeah, it's not bad. Alright, you guys, well, I think I'll end the video in here. 2012 Lexus IS250. Pretty nice car. I actually liked it more than I thought I would. Nice and intuitive, nice and easy to drive. Peppier than I thought it would be. Not like crazy fast, but you know, still pretty peppy for what it is. Smooth ride. Got some nice modern features in here. And yeah, pretty competitive car for the time, I'd say. And even now, you know, if you find one in good condition, it's a pretty good used car as well. But we'll shut the engine off and we'll hop out. All right, thanks for watching.